Children of the night, what music they make.
They're all gonna laugh at you!
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
What's that?
I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash you a bit.
Oh, there's a lot of sexual tension in the air. And the final guys are here to wipe it all out like saltpeter. Welcome, everybody. For those of you who don't know what saltpeter is, Google it. So, as always, we're Final Guys. It's Tuesday night. It's 8 p.m. live. We act this thing without a net because we're just foolish. And we're happy to have, these people in chat. Can I explain the show for the last 330 episodes?
Yes,
I
yes.
don't want to. I want to get to the sex. So, as always, I'm joined by Stuffed Turkey, Jason Brandt.
Hello.
Roller Boy, Jack Campese.
Wow.
Studio Flesh.
Good evening.
And I am Billy Idol's Flesh for Fantasy. We won't. Because, we're discussing Barbara Crampton and Heather Graham's delicious suitable flesh tonight.
There was one shot in this movie where I turned to my wife and I said, I guarantee Jack is loving this right now.
Guarantee you Jack is reaching for the Kleenex. So before we jump into things, there's drinking games, rules, words, all kinds of things that come from Sheridan Bradford.
Well said, man. Well said.
Wants to do them.
I'll do them. I don't know if I can follow that up, but I'll try. All right. If you hear Jack say Heather, throwback, or body, take a drink. If
somebody passes out in chat's room.
if Hunter says Gordon, head, or swap. If I say shutter, kills, or lynch. If Lutsky says knife, incantation, or camera. Or if you hear any of us say the bonus words, Graham, B cramps, or Lovecraft, take a drink.
It's a good thing Tim's not on the show anymore because now we can say B cramps. Remember he put
Did he not like that? I don't remember.
He told us to stop saying it.
So I don't even know.
Sounds a little young.
But
I don't listen to him, so
that's rough. Shots fired. All right.
Look, you guys do?
By the way, Jack, are we gonna have whiskey Jack tonight? Is there a chance?
Oh shit. Whose horror card are you taking?
Is that
it's my Silence of the Lambs whiskey glass?
Nice.
Oh.
What whiskey are you drinking, Jack?
This is Basil Hayden Toasted or something like that. It's called.
Oh, I've never had the toasted. I love Basil.
While we're doing drink introductions, Cassidy sent me Terminal IPA by someone. So I can't tell who it's by.
Sounds delicious.
Thank you, Cassidy. I don't know if she listens to the show, but thank you.
I've got nothing tonight. I drank everything on Thanksgiving. There's nothing left. I think I have one can of Bud Light Platinum left in the beer fridge.
Wow.
But I did only drink light beer the entire time. So I did have room for turkey and everything.
I did not drink light beer.
I'm sure
every beer I had must have been like 300 calories. I was like, oh my God.
I think I need like an IPA break now. It's been it feels like a decade of loaves of bread in a can nonstop.
Oh my God.
I'm just Yingling flights now.
My friend had his in-laws over and he had to cook Thanksgiving dinner and he had this nightmare story. And one or two of them were, what do you call it? Gluten.
Oh, gluten-free?
Intolerant or whatever. So they were, whatever they brought had no gluten in it. Like the pie was terrible and stuff. And they were, I've got to have this and I got to have that. And and I think it wasn't at this dinner, but he said another time she was at a restaurant and she made a big deal about her gluten dietary.
Let me see your celiac disease card, lady.
Even called the chef over to tell him it can't even touch a dish that had gluten on it, whatever. And then she proceeds to order a Guinness.
That's someone who doesn't understand what glutens are. My biggest challenge this Thanksgiving was the day before. My daughter had this very expensive bottle of some kind of like Turkish vanilla or something. I don't know. And, the sugar kind of makes the cap hard to open. So as I'm twisting it, all of a sudden the entire bottle just shatters in my hand. And you do that thing where you look at your hand and go, oh, it's fine. And then just like cuts start opening up out of nowhere.
No.
I was like, holy shit.
That's the worst.
And
you catch yourself with a knife and you're like, oh, I think I'm okay.
So it's like the freaking opening of that Death Ship movie where suddenly you're like, oh, I've been cut by a giant wire.
Falling apart in pieces.
So yeah, as the cook, the thing the next day was like, all right, let's try not to bleed in the food because everything kept opening and reopening. They would pick up a turkey pan, do this. I'm like, oh, there's blood running down my arm again.
There will be no leftovers.
If there were vampires at our Thanksgiving dinner, I'm sure they would have approved.
I'm thankful for your fingers.
That's not cranberry sauce.
No. By the way, we forgot to put the cranberry sauce out. So
oh
that's
no, not that stuff.
I fed it to the deer. They ate it. All right. It is time for Jack Campese's worldwide, amazing, incredible, award-winning news.
It's the news. Yay.
Who should be the sponsor this week? Anybody got anything to plug? Or did anybody we know publish anything?
Chuck Schumer for the UAP Disclosure Act that they're trying to push through. That's what I'm going for.
How about in honor of Dan Haggerty? I got a copy of Elves. So this news segment is in honor of Dan Haggerty. May he rest in cocaine.
News goes out to Grizzly Adams himself.
I didn't know there was a physical copy. I thought it was just a YouTube.
I thought it was only on VHS, but somebody. Well, let's see.
Huh.
And a special shout out for the Vanilla Faces.
Oh, it's in German. That's why. This is a German release. Yeah,
appropriate for that movie.
Mine, Dan Haggerty.
And by the way, Tina has celiac, so you're allowed to ask for gluten-free stuff. It's the 98% of other people who insist on gluten-free that don't have celiac.
Tina, my suggestion to do is if you go to somebody's house for Thanksgiving and you bring a gluten-free pie, that's great. Maybe bring something else for the other.
For the rest of the world?
I don't know. Not me, my friend. They were complaining a lot. There's a lot of complaining for people that brought like a bad pie.
Tell him to bring his own pie.
There's plenty of other food to eat.
At least one person brought a pie. This other guy, he brought like a block of cheese.
Would they let everyone out of the mental home to come to his house?
They did.
What?
All right.
I have random acorns with dirt I found on the floor.
Are you guys are aware there's a alien TV show and an alien movie in the works?
Yes.
The TV show is going to be a prequel, so Jason's all over this. And then the movie I just found out today is going to take place between the first movie and the second movie. So between Alien and Aliens. I don't know what the name of the movie is, but that just came out. If that means anything to you, great.
Huh.
The reason I'm bringing up Alien is because the TV show has cast Timothy Oliphant in an unnamed role, but speculation is he's going to be playing one of those synth people.
Really?
He's a scene stealer.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he's great.
We are the same age. We were both born the same month, the same year.
And he's 1,000 times cooler.
Yep, just a little bit. I could kick his ass, though. He looks really tiny. That's how I judge everything. I can kick his ass, so big deal.
He's probably like a foot taller than you.
You know what? I don't think so. And if he is, all right. So you're 6'4" and 100.
With his cowboy hat on, he is.
By the way, in Justified, the new one,
mm-hmm.
I'm like going, like he's got the typical Hollywood wasting disease that happens to all of them. I'm like, who would he intimidate? Like he punched this bad guy around. I'm like, he'd break his knuckles on the first shot, and the guy would just decapitate him. But that's TV, folks.
Wasting disease. Oh God.
So we'll watch for more details about this Alien TV show and see what happens. But that's a good sign. We all like him.
Yeah.
With
I love aliens.
Santa Clarita Diet, he was awesome in that.
Very awesome.
Manic in that.
All right. Now, he was also in a Scream movie, I believe.
2?
I don't know. I'm
I
very
don't remember.
I'm very spotty on which Screams I've seen. But that leads us to our next story. Have you guys heard what's going on with the Scream series?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
No.
Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega were sisters in the last couple of movies, and they're building the series around them. Well, Melissa Barrera was let go from Scream because she spoke out with her views on Palestine, and that did not go over well with the studio. So they showed her the door. Meanwhile, Jenna Ortega, when it turns out, is not coming back either. And the speculation when it first happened was, well, she heard that her friend got fired, and she's bailing too. But now they're saying her reasons are she's doing Beetlejuice 2 and Wednesday and doesn't have time for Scream. I don't know if there's anything else to it. She could see a sinking ship. But the Scream franchise has just lost its 2 co-pilots.
They'll just replace them with.
And they're talking about they've got to back up the money truck for Nev Campbell, who they snubbed, and bring her back.
Would she want to do that?
For the dump truck full of money, maybe. And then the other
you're trying to like get younger and younger. And now you're going to go for the gills. That's crazy.
The other speculation is that Patrick Dempsey, our friend from Thanksgiving, apparently he was in Scream 3. I don't think I ever saw Scream 3. They're like, well, he had a small part, but they could bring him back. And I'm like, this Scream franchise has such baggage because of the history.
Just end it. How about that?
I mean, look, if they keep making money, they're going to keep making them. I didn't see the last one yet. I heard, but to me, that was all the Screams except for the first one.
I thought the last one was ridiculous.
I've only seen the first 2, and I don't remember a single thing about the second one.
I don't either. I've seen all of them. I only remember the first one.
I've seen 3 of them.
I actually want to watch Scream 3 because I hear about all these people who were in it when they were like first getting started, like Alison Brie and Hayden Panettiere and a bunch of people. I'm like, oh, really? I didn't realize all of them were in it. So at some point, if I stumble across it, I might watch it. But
oh man, if Hayden's in it, I'll watch it.
She's a cutie. So no denying that.
Save the cheerleader, save the world.
I found a whole channel dedicated to Nashville on my cable thing. Like Nashville 24/7, 365 days a year.
How many seasons was that show?
I think 5 or 6, believe it or not. So there you can get all the Hayden Panettiere you could ever want.
Now, that leads us to our final. And this is kind of we're reaching here a little bit as far as calling this news, but I thought it was interesting.
Oh no.
Mick G. This has a little bit to do with Jenna Ortega. Mick G, I guess recently was talking, and somebody asked him about a third babysitter movie. And he said that they have actually talked about it, and he has an idea. He said he had a plot line or a journey for the main character of like him as a young man, you know, with a crush, and then finding love in the second one. And I don't know what the third one is, but he said like he knows where it would go, and he would be up for it. And they've talked about it. So it's not that it's happening, but it has been brought up. And in the course of reading this, he brought up that this did introduce the world to Samara Weaving and Jenna Ortega. And I was like, oh, that's right. Jenna Ortega's in the second one, I think.
Is she?
I don't remember that.
I don't remember.
But then
the
she
second
wasn't
one that
Jenna
much.
Ortega then.
Mm-hmm.
Second one was good.
I don't know how much any of us liked the second.
Second one was okay. The first one was really good.
Yeah,
the first one's great. And where is Samara Weaving?
She's like in real stuff now.
Oh, that's too bad.
She's ditched us. Damn it.
She was in the last Scream movie briefly.
Oh,
See, she
I
hasn't completely
need to
ditched the genre.
all right.
I hope they never make a Ready or Not too.
Oh, please.
Oh
stop.
no, no.
Or that's fitting for a prequel. Find out Mr. LaBelle and go back to the family in the beginning.
Stop it.
The only way they could make a sequel to that would be to take it like a whole nother time period and a whole different family, but it's good enough. Let's just leave it alone.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
That is all the news that's fit to print.
Okay, ladies
Thanks,
and
Jack.
gentlemen. Are you all feeling sexy still?
Shut up.
Very sexy.
No,
My pants are so tight right now.
I'm
I blew
so
off
fat.
my cod piece.
Toy.
All right. Let's go to curation.
We have such sights to show you.
I'm impressed. I tried to throw that curation in there really fast, and Jason was ready. So
Two bitches.
must be because his IPA fattened fingers are just so low to the keyboard right now. They can
Surprised I
barely
can
move.
Sausage fingers.
The bloat is for real.
All right. Chad, what did you watch during the Thanksgiving break?
I watched Dreams in the Witch House, which is the second movie from the Masters of Horror. Last time I talked about and slightly bashed Joe Lansdale's incident on and off a mountain road, whatever it's
Yeah, that was
called.
rough. You burned that
By
relationship. I saw it on
Don
Twitter.
Cascarelli. This is better, and it's directed by Stuart Gordon.
Oh,
A college
Right.
student rents a room in an old boarding house where he makes friends with the single mother that lives next door, who claims there's a rat in her room. He then starts having nightmares of, maybe they wouldn't be considered nightmares, of having sex with this woman next door, as well as a mysterious witch, and slowly finds out something more sinister is going on with his room. There's also a talking rat with a man's face who bites his wrist, trying to get him to sign his name in blood.
Charlotte, let me sign it.
It sounds better than it is. But I mean, maybe it's still worth a watch if you're just laying around looking for something to do. Like Jack always says, if you're, looking for something that's there, you might not hate it. I didn't hate it. It was okay. I'm waiting for, I know there's some real hidden gems in these Masters of Horror. I believe I saw one a while ago, like years ago when they first came out, but I haven't seen most of them, so I'm waiting for a good one to pop up. Do you guys have a favorite, or have you seen this one, the witch one?
I have, but I don't remember.
I don't think I've seen many of these at all, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen any of them.
Well,
They're like
were
an
on
hour long.
Showtime, right?
What's
Yeah.
that?
They were on Showtime back in the day.
I don't remember.
There were, yeah.
So we didn't have Showtime, but then I saw them somewhere else. I forget where.
I saw some because my dad had burned them on a DVD. I didn't know they were like a regular series or anything, but they're only like 55, 60 minutes, I think.
Yep. Your dad was a good man burning them for you. Look at him. Yeah, now you're enjoying them 1,000 years later.
Well, I'm enjoying
It's
them
like
too.
20 years ago, right?
Yeah, this
long
is
time
from
ago.
2005.
Yeah.
Damn.
My kids
Yeah,
were
so-
young. I didn't get to watch
Not my highest recommendation, but like I said, if you're bored, give this one a shot.
There you go. The producers are cavelling hearing that rave review. Luckily, Stuart Gordon doesn't give a crap what you thought of it.
Yeah.
Because,
As
he's
he
no
should.
longer here. Jason, when you weren't drinking with Jason,
They're stuffing a turkey.
like Ron Jeremy.
I watched a movie called You Won't Be Alone for the sole reason that it had, I don't know how you say her name. Is it Numi Rapace?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I-
I'll go with that.
I've never known how to say her name, but she is a phenomenal actress. I love her and everything. And I love that this woman will take on the weirdest goddamn roles in the weirdest movies. She does not care. And I find that fascinating because she was in huge movies in America, and she'll go back to Europe and do the weirdest shit you've ever seen. And you won't be alone as one of those. This is wild. It starts with a completely burned Freddy Krueger witch appears in a hut with a woman and her child. And she marks the child and says, I'll let you, basically makes a deal with the mother that the witch won't take her until she turns 16. But the woman doesn't believe her, so she puts her in a cave until she's 16. So the girl has no interaction. She doesn't know how to deal with people or even really speak. She's narrating it, but her narration is insane because she's never been around people. And then the witch comes and gets her, and the witch is turning her into her apprentice, basically. And she learns the ability to, if she kills someone and she cuts off a piece of, like a big piece of them or their stomach or something, and stuffs it in her, like an incision she makes on herself, she will take their appearance. And she does that and tries to live in different villages with people. This is weird. This is a super weird movie. I kind of liked it, but this is not one I'm going to recommend to a lot of people because, first of all, it's subtitled, so almost nobody's going to watch it anyway. But and Numi is one of the people she takes over for maybe a quarter of the movie. She's not the star. The star is, well, they're like 6 stars because she keeps taking over people, and then that is the main actor for the next section of the movie. It's pretty brutal. The shit the witch does is very brutal, and just these people having horrible lives. Even the witch, they show why she's scarred at one point, and it's not nice. Nothing in this movie is nice, but really different kind of look at a witch and how she would live back in the day. But I dug it. I don't know how many other people are going to like it, but yeah, there you go.
That's her follow-up to Lamb. Remember that movie?
Yeah, this is like Lamb, where you're just like, what?
Is that subtitled or is that English?
You Won't Be Alone?
Yeah.
Subtitled. Yeah.
Yeah, I've almost started this movie a bunch of times, and it just looks like you got to be paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so it's like never early enough in the evening where I'm like, oh, I'll just breeze through this. So it's like, I'm not going to make it through this. I got to wait.
Oh, yeah. It's slower paced. It's wild.
I just saw a thing where they said people under 30 watch everything in subtitles, even if it's just regular, you don't need it. So
yeah,
we're the subtitle barrier generation. I think they're just like, yeah, whatever. It's always on.
I do not watch with subtitles unless I have to, because I can't hear it, because so many times the words come before they say them.
Yeah.
You ever watch a comedy special like that, or even just a comedy movie, and the punchline comes out before like the setup is done, and you're like, okay.
I hate subtitles. I mean, I watch them because I want to get the original actors acting in a movie. Yeah. But in English, I can't stand them because then I'm not seeing the performance.
Yeah.
So, have you ever seen the meme where it's, if you're watching a movie with subtitles, it's like having a conversation with a beautiful woman with her boobs pushed up. You're just looking like down the whole time. It's like, that's what it feels like.
Hey, that's funny. Somebody just said, what about sub titties? That was perfect timing.
I do remember though, when I watched The Black Coat's Daughter, the second time I watched it, and there's a part where Kiernan Shipka gets a phone call from like the devil, and I rewound it and put on the subtitles so I could see what the voice was saying on the other. I can't remember if they showed it or not, but I remember me trying to. I was like, I don't know what the voice was saying. Sometimes they show stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, they do. Yeah, sometimes they show stuff that you would never have heard, like somebody talking on the other side of a door. And I may have brought this up before, but that movie, what's the movie with the Shogun warrior ghost keeps popping up? A really super bad low budget movie.
God, Bloodbeat.
Yeah, Bloodbeat. In that movie, you have to have the subtitles on, and when that
it doesn't help.
When that Shogun ghost pops up, it says mystical boinging on the bottom.
Sometimes if you're watching a Turkish film, the narrator literally gives up At one point in Turkish Star Wars, the guy just says more mumbling or more mumbo jumbo about something. Like he just gave up trying to translate it.
That is funny.
That's all. They all like did the okay. Fine.
Oh god,
that's awesome. All right, Jack. I know you didn't watch anything with
I want to go to a Renaissance fair dressed like a wizard. We're going to give you a mystical boinking, me lady.
me lady. You should come over here. There's a bar here that's like it looks like a medieval castle inside, and they serve nothing but mead. My lady.
I need more of that. Okay, I got. All right, so you all know I'm not the biggest fan of anthology movies.
Mm-hmm.
I watched an anthology movie 2023 called Satanic Hispanics.
I saw that came out and I was like, oh, that could be funny.
This has 5 different directors, including Eduardo Sanchez, who did Blair Witch Project, and I'm going to get this name wrong.
Coolio.
Simon Rugna?
Coolio.
The guy who did Terrified. And the movie we just watched, When Evil Lurks.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Amongst others. All Latino directors. I'm not going to butcher anybody else's name because I'm horrible. I can't say English people's names.
Stop while you're behind.
Timothy Elephant.
Oh, Mike Mendez. Wow.
So the wraparound story features Pedro from Napoleon Dynamite.
Get out.
Efren Ramirez and Greg Grunberg, who's you know him. He's like kind of a heavy dude. He was in Heroes and he's in the Star Wars movies and he was in Lost.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
that guy.
Okay.
So him and another woman are cops, and they pick up Pedro at this like bloodbath in a house in El Paso where there's all these dead bodies, and they bring him in for questioning, and then he starts to explain that there's something coming for him and they have to let him out, that something terrible is coming, and there's something out of the ordinary about him, and then he starts to tell these stories. So each story he tells is one of the segments. So the first segment is by the Terrified guy, and it's got some humor to it, but it's got some super creepy stuff that there's a moment where you're like, oh yeah, Terrified guy did this. Pretty cool and very original, about a paranormal. A guy's he's like in a haunted house and he brings in a paranormal investigator and scares the hell out of the guy. And I won't tell you more than that. The second one is by the Blair Witch guy, and it's about a vampire, El Vampiro, I think it's called, and it's hilarious. One of my, it belongs like with we do in the shadows. It was so funny.
Wow.
About a vampire who goes out on like Halloween night, and he's like an older, heavy dude, but he's like, hundreds of years old. And then like his mate or whatever calls him out, was like, you forgot it's daylight savings time. You needed to get back as soon as possible because the sun's going to come up earlier. So hilarious. I'm like, oh my God, these first two are awesome. The next one is kind of this folklore, kind of werewolfy, but not exactly a wolf. And this one had a lot of cool imagery, but very weird, and I didn't quite understand it. So my least favorite of the group, but you might watch it and think like, wow, that was really cool. The fourth one, I guess I'm losing count here, is this one about a dude and a demon. All I'm going to say is it's freaking hilarious.
So two really funny ones.
Two really funny ones. One that's got some humor, but really creepy. And then the wraparound comes to a conclusion at the end, and the ending is phenomenal. It's
really
like one of the best segments of the whole thing.
Should this be a main feature?
Yes. Like,
did it come out this year?
It came out this year. It's definitely on my list.
Wow.
An anthology on your list.
An anthology on my list.
If it makes my list, it's miraculous.
I paid like $6 to watch it, I think.
Huh.
Wow. All right.
I think we need to consider this.
And this thing
Yeah.
is not 2 hours, but I'll call it 150. I
Mhm.
didn't feel. Usually, you tell me, "Oh, this anthology is close to 2 hours." I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell
nope.
me.
I enjoyed the whole thing. So
Wow.
I'm assuming it's in Spanish.
no, it's in English. There are parts in Spanish, but
Oh, okay.
All
I
right.
mean, you had me at Eduardo Sanchez, so hell
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm floored when I was like, "Huh, anthology, huh? Oh, well, it's got some clout behind it." I watched the trailer. It's like, all right, I need to check this out. So happy I did. So,
Well, the good news is if we do it, you can take that episode off.
Yeah.
exactly.
Just chill out, stay home, drilling whiskey.
We'll all hate it and be like, "What the hell's wrong with you?"
That's true. That might happen.
I'll get
Maybe.
mired.
Damn. I just can't get past Eduardo Sanchez working on a movie again. He hasn't done one in so long.
I know.
Was Exist his last one? I don't even know.
And that exists. It's like it feels like 9 years ago.
It's been so long. Damn.
Wow.
I'm pumped. For
I don't
this.
know if I've ever seen a wraparound that had such a great conclusion to it. Like
Reach around or wrap around?
reach around, wrap around, anything.
I
It
mean, great
finished very
conclusion.
well.
Anything with a
wants
happy
to-
ending.
If anyone wants to give Jack a reach around, write to him at finalguys.com.
Suitableflesh.com.
All right. Let me bring the sexy down a little bit. Jack, you watched Paranormal State on A&E back in the day. That was like the Penn State
guy.
kids.
That guy.
Oh, Ryan Buell, boy, he turned out to be a scam artist. Anyway, there was one of the crew, the guy Chad Kalick. He was like the heavyset dude. He was kind of like more of like a technician. He's gone on to make a couple of movies. One of them, and I can't remember if it was you. We were talking about going to see Sir No Face.
We did that as a main feature, didn't we?
Did we?
Sir
This-
No
it's-
Face was a documentary, right?
It's a documentary, right? Where
They
they
get the footage of the ghost that's like behind a door or something.
yes, it was
Yeah.
the only time the Australian government has paid and sanctioned a ghost hunt or whatever. And they went to this place in Australia, and in this house, what it had there was literally this figure that kind of popped in. That was like the first full-bodied apparition ever caught. So anyway, I see that there's a sequel, and I'm like, oh, all right, let's try it. I kind of enjoyed Sir No Face, and like I've said with all these things, even if you don't believe, if you sometimes you're just looking for a good kind of like creepy movie, sometimes these filmmakers are good enough to make it scary, like Blackwell Ghost and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So let me give this a shot. So it starts with he goes on tour because I wanted to go on tour. I think it was with you. I wanted to go, Jack, to see them live. I think they were in Ridgefield Playhouse or something. Never got a chance to see it. And he's talking about that tour, and people, he said, he would say, hey, if you saw this, just say it. What do you think this is? And the majority of the answer was a gray alien. Like everyone's like, oh, that's an alien. It's not a ghost. It's an alien. Well, turns out there were things going on during the filming of the first one and after it that made them think maybe we need to look into this, because they were being followed and harassed by strange kind of like men in black. So the first 20 minutes is talking about the first movie.
Sure.
Yeah, the first movie and the things that went on that they didn't talk about because it was too strange, and pictures of some guy that was in an audience that gave Chad a packet of information, kind of like the, hey, if I ever disappear, at least you have it kind of thing. Then it goes to like, I feel like 40 minutes of showing and talking about the things that were in this packet of all this secret UFO knowledge. And it went everywhere from pre-World War II all the way up to present day. Lots of stuff with conspiracy theories with Antarctica and stuff like John F. Kennedy, Richard Nixon, what their hands were in it. If you love like UFO conspiracy stuff, this is straight up porn. I was like, I knew almost all of it, but I was still like, oh yes, I like this more than ghosts. So after that's all done, it comes to him just going, I don't know if I should go back, because if I do, and if all this is right, this could mean my life. This people disappear when they look too deep into this. and it ends on a cliffhanger.
No.
Will I
way.
go or not? Yes. I was like, God dang it. And this movie came out in 2020, and there has not been anything since. I assume Chad might be dead. I think he showed too much, and now he's dead. But it was weird because I went in for like this ghost movie, and I got a UFO documentary, and then a cliffhanger. I'm like, so now I got to see the third when it comes out because I just want to see where it goes. But I actually enjoyed this. He's actually a really good filmmaker. Except he does a lot of just repeating things. Like, I'll say, Jason's a jerk. Jason's a jerk. Jason's a jerk. Jason's a jerk. Like, okay, we get it. We don't need to use it all the time. It's like watching a movie where half of it's in slow motion. But as far as like building, at least for the time,
like a Zack Snyder movie.
Exactly like a Zack Snyder movie. So look, Two-Face the Gray, I should have known. Like the cover image I saw after told you what it was, but the one I saw looked like a ghost thing. So, but it's on Tubi.
If there's ever a movie with a target audience of you,
Right.
I mean, that was like the only thing that could have happened is like Bigfoot could have come and punched someone's heart out at the end, and I would have been like just smoking a cigarette, spent for a decade, done.
Well, I'm spent.
I have good news. He has another movie that just came out this year called 74 Minutes.
I hope it's 74 minutes long.
He's not dead, and it is 84 minutes long. That is just bullshit.
What? Well, then the 74 minutes must mean something else. Maybe spent 74 minutes above an alien, well, like in an alien craft.
Well, it says he shares over an hour of the most intense paranormal activity he's ever captured during his 25-year investigative career.
Oh.
So
Every
there you
movie
go.
he has some sort of extreme like that. This is the most conclusive ghost footage ever. This is the most amazing ghost footage ever.
But that's
But
why
now he's
the
on
guy, when he goes on
Aliens.
tour, it's sold out. Like he knows. And it's funny, somebody had said to him in the movie, hey, do you think what you're doing is like a big marketing thing, like just a marketing ploy? He goes, well, I can't say it's a bad way to market a movie. He says, but it's also the honest way, considering what I have to share. So, but yeah, if you're into the ghosts and UFOs, this is your marriage. This is your Oreo cookie. Chad's not. Chad never can hold my hand.
Chad doesn't even have a witty
One
comment
dot.
for it. He's just lulled
It's like,
into the gray.
I wish I could repair this relationship with Joe Lansdale, but
I wonder what Lansdale's doing right now.
I guess I'll just have to ask Josh Mallerman for all my blurbs.
I wonder what could make my next book sadder.
What is this running inner monologue?
Started with people who've already overdosed on fentanyl and worked my way back to their hellish beginnings.
This new shampoo is on sale. I really like its results, except it's a little itchy.
I don't know where this came from. Anyway,
I'm not
Chad
even
is getting
drinking tonight.
stuffier and stuffier in every one of these.
yeah.
All right, you're up, Chad. After that intro.
Jason and I are nearing the end of our Saw thing. We've got two more now.
Oh, God.
After this one, I have a feeling that this is where Jason and I have seen eye to eye pretty much on everything.
Yeah,
I have a feeling, but I could be wrong, that we might not on this one.
Okay.
Neither one of us really cared much for the last one, and we did get diminishing returns, but they were still entertaining. And the last one was definitely by far the worst.
Mm-hmm.
This one for me was the best one in a while, maybe since the second or third. We finally get rid of some characters that had overstayed their welcome, mostly Detective Lips, but yeah, seriously, this is the best one.
BW.
Since second or third. I really liked it. Thoroughly enjoyed it. By the time it was done, I looked at my wife and I was like, that was a cool Saw movie. We're back to some inventive traps, good story with characters that I liked, and the reveals at the end had me grinning, man, at the way that they were pulled off.
Which one is this again?
This is called Jigsaw.
This is Saw 8, Jigsaw.
8.
Yeah, so those are my thoughts.
Shockingly, I agree. This was a
Oh!
big step up from the last one.
This is crazy.
This was much better. I was actually thinking probably a third of the way through that this doesn't have the gritty look of the first 2 or 3 Saw movies.
Mm-hmm.
This is slick. It looks modern, but it's well made. The traps are pretty interesting. It's not torture porny like you would expect. It's gory. I mean, it's very gory, but it's not the crazy torture nonsense. Honestly, the only thing that held it back for me was it's a Saw movie, so we have to have a reveal that ends up being somehow Jigsaw was involved with this the whole time, even though they say he's been dead for 10 goddamn years at this point. He's still involved in this trap. I'm over that. It's shocking how many apprentices Jigsaw had for a man who was
It's
only
a whole
active.
cult.
He was running a corporation. Who wants to?
He was
intern?
active for
It's a
like
pyramid
6 months.
scheme.
Dude, it's unbelievable. And none of them knew about each other. He trained all these people. They all built traps with him, but none of them ever saw each other. The man was incredibly impressive. I'd love to know how many pitch meetings they had about how they could bring this guy back to life, because every movie is how do we get Tobin Bell in the movie and have him affecting everything, but still have him be dead and have it make sense. Just dig up his grave, stick a stake in him, let lightning hit it,
Yes.
bring him back to life, and let's go.
Yeah. I think you're at that part where it's acceptable in a franchise.
Yeah, I mean, he's in every movie. Like, Tobin Bell's character dies.
Why don't they just do what they
did?
did with Halloween, where they just go, okay, all the other sequels don't matter, and we're going to pick up.
I don't think they can, because these are mostly good movies. I don't think they want to do that.
Yeah.
I really like the Halloween movies fall off the rails so hard.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I didn't like, is that, oh, here we go. We have another apprentice of Jigsaw. I liked that it was all these traps are happening, all these people are being killed, and they're setting up 3 or 4 different characters, almost like a slasher, where you don't know who the killer is and you're trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I liked that. I thought that actually really worked well, and I think you could do the Saw series forever if you have good stories and traps and trying to figure out who the killer is. The reveal of, oh, this is yet another dude who worked, and I guarantee he's not even in the next goddamn movie. We'll have somebody else who's, it's like,
Those interns are expendable.
It's like a Marvel movie where the bad guy is somebody who used to work for Tony Stark.
yes, it's like, oh my god, how many psychopaths work for Tony Stark?
Well, this is like I think it's 10 years between this one and Saw 7.
Was it really 10 years?
Yeah, it was a long time.
Wow.
And
well,
I know
it's
that
even more impressive that it's good.
I know that the next one, I saw the trailer when it first came out. I think it's called Spiral, and this one with Chris Rock, and I just laughed all the way through the trailer. It looks ridiculous. I haven't seen the trailer since it came out, but I heard bad things about it. I've heard great things about Saw X, so hopefully we can at least finish on
I saw Spiral. I can't wait for you guys to watch that one.
Oh,
hopefully we
man.
can finish on a good note, because like Jason, I've been surprised.
I love
Surprisingly
when
good
Will
movies.
Smith smacks him with a saw. That's the best part of that movie.
I would pay to see that again. The meltdown on the internet over that was great.
Get my
watch
seriously name out your fucking mouth.
If you guys haven't watched the Saw movies this far, which I don't believe either one of you have,
No.
this would be one to just sit and watch. It's actually a good movie.
You can
It's-
just
it's-
sit down and just watch.
You could potentially watch this as a standalone, and yeah, it's like a dark detective whodunit.
Yeah, it's good. And the gore, like I said, it's gory in that the kills are inventive, but it's not people like stuck in traps cutting their own arms off for 20 minutes like some of the other ones have been. It's not
All
that. It's like an inventive slasher. It's pretty decent.
I'll consider it.
It's pretty
Why not?
decent.
All right, so we just killed 2 birds with 1 stone.
All right. Well, I came through with my promise. I watched bad CGI Gator.
I have a screener of it.
Oh,
I'm supposed to
man.
watch it on another podcast.
I
So-
did a free trial of the full moon feature on Amazon, so I have 7 days of it. I went through and I did not see a whole lot that interests me.
Well,
Yeah.
wait. How many movies are on there? I mean, he's been making movies forever.
It's got to be hundreds.
There's got to be so.
You know,
many.
it's the problem. I did it through my Amazon, so I'm not getting like a full menu.
Oh,
I'm just getting like I had to like write like say full moon, and I get.
we used to all do that
suggestions.
with Shutter. Yeah, and it was a problem. It was
Yeah.
the same problem. Yeah.
So I just got to remember to. I got to figure out how to end the trial at the end. But anyway,
Somebody help me.
bad CGI Gator, as we all know, Ben Vandermeer, who is Morgan's nephew, and it's like 3 guys and 3 girls go to this cabin somewhere in the woods with a lake. And in an act of defiance, while they're on TikTok, they throw their laptops into the lake, and this little alligator goes up to it, and lightning goes into it, and it becomes a big poorly rendered CGI gator, and
Oh my gosh.
runs amok. So the guy with the helmet, that's Morgan's nephew.
No
Really?
way.
He looks
He
like Matt
is-
Damon.
He is awesome in this movie. This movie, I forget what movie we were watching recently, where we were saying that this movie should have been made more like an 80s and 90s with boobs and things like that. We say that about a lot of movies.
I think pretty much every movie we watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This movie is, first of all, it's a lot like a movie you'd make in college if you had a video camera and some special effects, and people would be laughing. This is great. You guys should do real movies. Like, but it's a step up from that because they're like real actors. And by the way, all 3 leading ladies are top notch.
All that.
Top notch, topless? Top notch.
One is topless.
Oh, there you go.
But
In a modern movie, holy shit.
yeah. So I don't know how many. If you do had a drinking game, and every time they say "bruh," you'd be hammered. But like they are clearly having fun, and you can't go into this movie without just like, okay, it's under an hour,
Oh, even
wow.
better.
so it's just a silly, fun movie, and Ben is the funniest guy in it. Like, I would love to see this gang do like a slasher movie that could be a little bit on the ridiculous side, because this had all the slasher movie things, like kids go to lake to party,
And drink some beers.
they were
smoke some weed.
drinking and everything. It just giving each other, shit the whole time. It was, again, dumb fun, a lot of fun. And if you look at Ben's IMDb, he's been in a lot of cool stuff. He's had bit parts and things. He was in like the Spider-Man No Way Home. He was in Loki. He's in some other stuff. So I mean, he's going places. But when you watch this, you're like, oh man, he is funny. He's having the most fun out of anybody in this.
Right.
And it was a good watch. I had a good time with it. But again, if you're watching bad CGI Gator, I think you know what you're in for. So
Oh yeah. At least they wear their heart on their sleeve.
yeah. And there's a lot of movies that would try and. This is what I was thinking. I watched so many of these found footage movies, and it's like, oh, this is so dumb. This is so stupid. These guys just lean into being low budget and silly, and it was so much better than somebody just with no budget.
That's the way to do it.
Trying
That's why
hard.
Ninja Shark works.
Yeah,
It's just like, yeah, we know this is stupid as hell. Oh, I'm happy because I'm gonna watch that in every now and then. I'm on bloody good screens, so that's the next one we're doing.
they get in and they get out quick. It did not need to be any longer than it was. I could have used a little more Gator. That's my critique.
Couldn't we all? All right, awesome. I watched like a legitimate movie. My second movie. It has been on my Amazon list for a while. Brightwood. It's a 2023 movie. Very small budget. It has 2 actors, a man and a woman, who are a couple that have been together for years, and they decide to go on a jog around this lake by their house. But the thing is, she got a promotion. There was a party for her the night before. He tried to seduce one of her new underlings while he was drunk, and he can't understand why she's so mad. And you watch, oh, that's a great face by her. You watch this relationship is completely done. So as they're barbing back and forth with each other and running around, you realize this relationship has been done for a long time, and this is now time to take it out in the back of the woodshed and shoot it. So they're not noticing. It takes a while till they're realizing, wait a second, we've gone around here already. Where's the path to get the hell out?
So it's like quicksand so far.
It's, dude, you stole it from me. I was going to say this.
Sorry.
No, but there's more of a paranormal bent to this. So basically they are stuck in like this time and space loop where they can't get out. They can't figure out how they even got there. And then they start seeing people on the trail with them who just kind of come and go and look a little bit like them. And then it just devolves. So the whole thing is the endless loop is exactly, it's what their relationship. It's just this endless monotonous loop. And is the relationship going to come to an end? And maybe you get out of the loop, or you just continue the nonsense. I will say that the two leads are great. That's acting. I think they were really good, because sometimes they were really, really cutting. Anybody who's been in a relationship has had these fights before. He's really a doofus, though. He deserves pretty much what he gets. But then they can be really funny, and there are moments they're really tender, and that aspect of it is the most fascinating thing. To me, though, an hour and a half of stuck in a loop starts to get me a little pissed. I'm like, all right, let's do it. There were moments where it gets pretty damn boring. But then in the end, it gets last 15 minutes is really strange and interesting. So I don't know how to recommend this movie. I think a lot of people will bail after like 40 minutes because they're like, all right, yeah, you can't find the exit and you hate each other. But you gotta stick with it, and it's actually worth it.
So super low budget, just two people in the woods.
That is it.
How's the acting?
Very good. This is not like two people they pulled out of some community theater to do it. At least doesn't feel like it. Like I said, they are annoying and irritating at times, but they have to be. Like, they're doing such a good job, you want to smack them both. Or smack their heads together.
Does the guy cry incessantly the whole time?
No, he doesn't. He is way too much of a bro dumbass to shed tears in the quicksand. So,
that poor actor.
Which do I prefer? That's a good question. I'd watch Quicksand, I think, again before I'd watch this. But I think
that is not a recommendation for this.
But I think this is the better movie. Maybe I need some distance. Sometimes you watch things like I love watching the movie Communion. That's a train wreck of a movie, but I watch it 70 times. So you can't count on taste with me.
We never do.
I know. It's not a surprise. All right. It's on Amazon Prime. I think it was $4 or $5.99 if you want to pick it up today. I really thought this would be one. I'm like, oh, this is going to be on the list. I've heard so many good things about this. Anyone else have anything?
I watched Boogie Nights this week. I rewatched it, but I think I'll save my comments for our next discussion.
You rewatched Boogie Nights, or you rewatched a 2-second clip over and over?
The end
of Boogie Nights.
Boogie Nights is one of the greatest films ever made.
Motorin.
Oh, I just want to see the reveal. All right.
Uh-oh. What?
Just unplug his mic. Better take us away, Jason.
All right.
You're muted.
While the Luddite fixes his microphone, we're going to jump into our main feature.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I don't know.
You have to have a favorite. What comes to mind?
You know, sometimes you screw up with bumpers. I bumped my cord. Big deal.
It's using your laptop mic now instead of your good mic, but we
I don't care anymore. Whatever.
I don't care anymore. No more. No more.
No more. No more.
All
right.
Studio.
Maybe we should make Studio Flesh break this movie down for us.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Because This is from the team that brought us Reanimator and From Beyond. This is kind of like a throwback movie, and this feels like a Tubi thing.
Okay.
While he's doing this, why don't you change your microphone and stream?
I'm working on it right now.
All right, so oh man, I am not the one to pick for this. Let's see. The Barbara Crampton and Heather Graham, Goldie Hawn's daughter, right? Am I right with that?
No.
Who's
No.
Goldie Hawn's daughter?
Kate Hudson.
Okay. Another blonde girl, Heather Graham. They're best friends. They were working in a mental hospital. We find out at the very beginning that Heather Graham has lost her marbles and ends up as a resident here. And the rest of the movie is her explaining exactly what happens, which borrows from Lovecraft tale, which I don't know what it's called. Do you guys know what the original story is called, or just
a long
they're
time
borrowing lore, or what? Yeah, me neither.
That's an H.P. Lovecraft story. I forget which.
And we find out that there's some sort of demon that is out to find suitable flesh, find a host. It loves hopping bodies and
then hopping bodies, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
humping bodies.
And yeah, affairs happen. People don't mind that much about them, and then chaos ensues.
I will say, forgiveness for transgressions comes pretty easy in this movie.
Yeah.
But whatever.
I mean, you've seen Heather Graham.
If your wife cheats on you and then seduces you after you've been sleeping with her for 2 decades, is it really gonna? I mean,
well, it was the best he ever had.
There was some cutting involved, which he was very on board with.
All right. So
do we all recognize the husband from That Thing You Do?
Yes.
I did not.
I thought he was Kurt Russell's son.
I quit.
Yep.
All right, Jason, what'd you think of this?
I liked this movie. It shows its budget a lot, but I feel like Joe Lynch is one of us. Like, he's a dude who likes throwback movies. I mean, what was his movie he did with Salma Hayek, where she's killing everyone in the apartment building?
Oh, I haven't watched that yet.
Everly.
Yeah, like
Love
I
that
think
movie.
he's going back and hiring all the actresses from when he was teens and in his 20s and putting them in horror movies. That's really what it seems like. So, is this my favorite movie of the year? No. Like I said, the budget, like some of the green screen shots in The Office are like YouTube levels.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the sets are like YouTube levels. I think all the money went to Crampton and Heather Graham and oh god, what's the guy's name in this?
Bruce Davison.
Bruce Davison. Yeah, Bruce Davison shows up. But this is like a fun Shudder movie to me. I got to see actresses I like doing crazy Lovecraftian shit, and some Heather Graham boobs. I mean, that raises it like 2 stars automatically.
I said to my wife, I said, "There's no way she's not getting naked," and she goes, "Why?" I said, "She gets naked all the time." There's a lot of Heather Graham.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, there's a lot of Heather Graham on Mr. Skin.
Killing Us Softly or something like that.
Yeah, she's
also
amazing.
Before my turn, it's Barbara Crampton. We say this in every movie. She's ageless. I don't understand.
Her face is. Her body is.
Yeah, I think she looks great. I'm like blown away. She's 64.
I love the fact that we're reviewing a movie that's kind of got all the sexual undertones, and your 2 leading ladies one's like 54, the other's 64.
Yeah,
like
it's wild. And
this is unheard of 30 years ago. It's never happened.
Crampton couldn't get roles anymore in like the 90s because she was aging out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now it's
hasn't aged a whole lot either.
No.
Yeah,
amazing.
So I liked it. Yeah, it's not going to make my list, but I had fun with it.
All right, Jackarunio.
Let me just check my notes from.
Well,
See,
that
this
looks
is
like
an
Hawaii.
eight tissue film for me.
Looks like the Aleutian Islands. I don't know what these notes mean.
You ever just like go back to the comfortable place in your life where you get home from the bars and you'd flick on the TV, and what do you know, on Cinemax there was an erotic thriller with, I don't know, Shannon Tweed or Tanya Roberts or God knows who.
Mm-hmm.
The first like half, 2/3 of this movie, I'm like, oh my God, this is like a Skinemax movie. Maybe a little less on the Randy side than those. You see a little bit, but not quite as soft core, I guess. But like the sets, the way people would forgive their spouse for cheating, but
It's okay.
second, and all that, like it had a real like old like 90s cable vibe to it.
Very nice.
Yes, exactly.
And coming off of Thanksgiving that had a 90s slasher vibe to it, I was like, oh, this is like these two like captured two things that if you're trying to explain to somebody what was watching TV or movies in the 90s, like watch this for horror movies and watch this for late night cable.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a great way to put. Joe Bob would have showed this on Monster Vision for sure. Yeah.
Except I think back then there would have been a little more flesh.
Yeah. Yep.
But it would have been flesh of somebody that you didn't know.
Right.
Whereas you're getting a bona fide star here.
Who was 24 instead of 54.
Yeah, exactly.
And I will say that I was okay with the movie watching it, and then like the third act like kicked it up a notch. Like Emerald, bam, and I was like, oh, okay, here we go. So I'm kind of on the same page as Jason. I liked it. Good Shudder movie. Great to see Heather Graham and Barbara Crampton. And again, I just heard a podcast talking about Boogie Nights, so I actually watched Boogie Nights, and then I watched this. And seriously, I was like, my God, Heather Graham has hardly aged.
She looks incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yes, she does.
All right, Chad.
I'm sorry, you guys. This is not a good movie at all. This
I knew you'd hate this. I knew you'd hate this.
I thought you might actually.
I'm shocked that as I'm watching it, I was like, nobody's gonna like this, and I've thought that a lot. And you guys would come in here and I love this movie. It's gonna be on my list. So then I started thinking, well, maybe they will. The only thing that I really liked about this movie was the fact that it looked and felt like it sounded like, because the music big time. This is 1990,
Yep.
that steamy kind of saxophone stuff that they would play. Some of the shots particularly here in the office when she's sitting in the window and stuff, very early 90s. And I appreciated that. It got very convoluted for me with the whole, the repeating of he's got to do this 3 times kind of stuff. I was turned off by some of the green screen shots, and there were even some shots where you could tell the two people talking were not even really in the same room together, which I thought was very strange. And I don't know what the reason for that was. That they had to squeeze another shot in, but they had to do it at different times. Yeah, man, I really didn't like this movie at all. I appreciate, that he grabbed these women, and I think that if he was going for the 90s thing, which he clearly had to have been, he nailed it. So, I did not like it.
By the way, did you know it was produced by Joe Lansdale?
No, sorry, Joe.
Actually, Barbara Crampton was one of the producers. I started this movie and I was like, wow, this looks as crappy as an old Lifetime made-for-TV movie.
Yeah.
And for the first 20 minutes, I'm going, I might bail. I think I'm going to bail. This is just awful. But I'm like, no, I'm going to hang in there for Barbara Crampton and Heather Graham, and also Brian Yuzna, who gave us all the great movies that we love from the 80s, Reanimator. And I'm thinking, this is the dude who gave us Barbara Crampton getting head from a head and sticking her in like BDSM gear. And I'm like, all right, I trust him. I trust he's going to take us somewhere interesting. And he does, because it's, I'm going to tell you, for most people, you're going to struggle in the beginning of this movie. Then it gets to the sex and weirdness. And Chad, I agree with you at some points. Like, well, I don't really understand the rules or whatever the hell's going on here. The third act turns into full on, like, we're in Reanimator territory with the body hopping and just the bodies that won't die and the weird shit going on. And it's getting gory and just crazier and crazier. And I was so happy. I mean, that last act is my happy space. I had such a good time with that. Like, after my wife bailed, I'm like, good, I'll watch it on my own. Get out of my room. And then I could, never mind. So I will say this will probably make my list this year.
Wow.
A, because I need 13. This is like movie number 9. So I don't know where 4 more are coming from.
You gotta watch Sister Death, you idiot.
I'm gonna watch that, but I'm saying I really appreciated this movie for giving me back those vibes I got from the Yuzna movies, the Lovecraft movies back in the day. It wasn't full on, like, back then, but I got a glimpse. I caught a flavor of it, and I'll take it as opposed to the usual detritus that comes our way.
I don't know. There was so much more body horror in those. Like, like Society and Bride of Reanimator, From Beyond. There wasn't, the only body horror that they had were in, like, the the editing that they kept doing way too much of, where they would body hop and the fingers would crack, which I thought was cool the first time. And then the 6th time.
Yeah, they show it way too much. Way too much. Yeah. So I do think, this is obviously extremely low budget, but I started to wonder towards the end of the movie if a lot of the weird choices, like the music is so generic.
Yeah.
I loved it.
It's so generic. But I started wondering, is he doing this for like a 90s low budget aesthetic? Same with the green screen. You can do a solid key on a freaking laptop nowadays. Why was it so bad when she was in the office? And I was almost wondering if it was like a stylistic choice, because he was also doing like transitions, like zoom in transitions.
Yeah.
And so I'm starting to wonder if that's what he's. I'm not saying I like it or anything. I'm not going one way or the other on it. I'm just wondering if a lot of the 90s, he was going for more of that than maybe I initially thought. I don't know.
I think it has to be a stylistic choice, because we've seen what he can do.
Yeah, he's a good director.
Yeah, so this has to be on purpose.
It's that, or they just saved all the money for the gore at the end.
And the gore, I appreciated.
I don't know, but yeah,
Right.
there was some writing stuff that I found, like why is the psychiatrist's office on the same floor 2 doors down from the morgue? Like there was some stuff like that was interesting. I also didn't understand why. So I thought the whole movie, this dude had to say these words in order to take over your body, and you had to hear them, because he kept calling them and saying it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end, he just says them. I should probably wait till spoilers. Sorry.
Yeah, let's do spoilers. Ring the bell.
As if you don't know what I'm going to say now. At the end, he says the words in a completely different room, and she couldn't possibly hear, and takes over her body. So it was like some stuff like that. I'm like, I don't think I understand the rules.
I didn't even pick up on that. It was just getting so weird and wild at that point. I was like,
I turned off all that stuff. Like, I was like, it wasn't making a whole lot of sense, and I was just rolling with it. I was like,
remember, he kept calling them, and then he would say it into the phone.
Yeah.
Well, at the end, the body that's all fucked up.
yeah, you're right. I didn't thought of
the
that.
one in the
until you said
morgue.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it finishes saying the words and takes over her body down in the padded room. So I was like, I don't think that's how it works, but maybe he was just being a dick calling the whole time. I don't know.
Right. I love every time you think she's dead.
I did like that.
I'm not dead yet.
There was one scene though that I did think that was actually pretty creative, and that was the cam in the back when she's
Oh, that was awesome.
pinning that guy against the wall.
That was a great shot.
I was one of those things where it's like, why haven't we seen this already? This is a great idea.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that last scene with the body swapping and that, I mean, look, she falls out the window and it looks like a parody of Die Hard. But that whole thing, I was like, okay, here we go. Because the first 2/3 of the movie, like I said, I think they could, if they went a little further with it, not just sex, just everything. I felt like almost like when you're watching like some of those 90 movies where you're like, oh, I wish there was more gore or there was more sex. Like make it a little bit edgier. And like it was almost like a little too safe, even though it was a little bit racy. They showed a little bit, but I understand why they didn't because of the.
I couldn't believe we saw Heather Graham's boobs. I was
surprised.
I was shocked.
I wasn't, but I was rewarded for my expectations.
Well, so we see them earlier in the movie, but you see her in the mirror, and then it's like a close up of the boobs. I'm like, that was not her. And then later you see, I was like, oh, that really surprised me.
That's rare. Look, you can't get nudity out of some up and coming nobody anymore.
He's got to go to the older actresses to.
Yeah, and for anybody who's like,
funny.
"Oh, you guys are sexist," I don't show a wiener.
Heather Graham
shows wiener. I don't care.
Heather Graham was a good choice to play this because I thought she played the various personalities that she had to do very well.
I thought she was much better as the darker personality too. Like,
of course,
much better.
So I heard what's his name? The guy who made it on the Rebecca McKendry podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking about originally Barbara Crampton just wanted to be a producer and didn't want to be in it. And they were trying to find a leading actress. And she was the one who was like, how about Heather Graham? I'm like, yeah. So it was because of her. And then finally they were looking for somebody else. And everybody's like, why isn't Barbara in this movie? And like, she doesn't want to be. And then finally they talked her into it. And then once she like got into it, she was like, "Oh yeah, why wasn't I in this movie?"
Yeah, she plays that kind of role really well now. Kind of like Pris, initially stuck up, kind of severe woman. So she's definitely perfect fit for that.
She is really good at that, considering the other roles she's had. I mean, I'm assuming she's not shy.
I remember that vampire movie. She was the Jacob's wife or whatever.
Jacob's wife, yeah.
So
good. It's amazing.
Yeah,
I'm blown away by her. This second career she has.
I love it. I'm so happy for her. When they were fighting at the end, and Heather Graham is on top of her, and they're fighting, I was like, "This is Jack's happy place right here."
Do you think that, or when they kissed?
Yeah, right before they kissed, and then through the kiss.
I have a collage of the stills,
and he didn't use tape to put them on his wall. I just love to have a fun throwback movie.
This is coming to Shudder like next year, like in a few months, so it will be a great Shudder movie. But we had to get this in before the end of the year.
Plus, I have to give it kudos for a movie that I considered turning off to one that I'm like, oh my God, I was really digging it. Despite every wart and flaw, I just didn't care at that point.
The sexist in me was complaining at the beginning because I'm like, why is Heather Graham wearing like grandma clothes? Like they're like, what is going on here? And then it got sexier as the movie went. I was like, oh, I get it. At the beginning, I'm like, what the hell? Like the beginning of this movie's pissing me off. But it works.
Take off them clothes.
What the hell?
Whereas my wife was like, she goes, can those pants be any further up her ass crack?
It was insane. There's no way that was comfortable.
No. I mean, it's one thing for a thong, but when you've got like a whole bunch of pants stuff jammed in your crack, I can't feel good.
How about Bruce Davison? Like he I think like everything he did in this movie, he was like manic or foaming at the mouth or
Nuts.
He's always great. He's always great. That scene where they cut his head off, I was like, okay. So Heather Graham shows up. A guy dies. She's like, all right, I'm going to bang this dude with a dead body behind me.
Yes.
Then I'm going to swap bodies, swap back. Then I'm going to watch him cut the head off this dude. And what finally was too far is when the head speaks. Then she's like, I can't take it anymore. I have to leave. Like everything else had not hit her threshold yet.
And by the way, I like that this presence didn't care who it banged. Because it was in him, and then it went into her, and it got excited to bang her husband. And gave him the ride of his life with a little nipple slicing. So I was like, I like a demon that's all inclusive.
The husband must have been a huge pothead or something, because he rolled with the punches like no man I've ever seen in my life.
I know, like, it's sparking up. Oh, whatever, man.
Complete opposite from his That Thing You Do character.
My first thought would be, what did you just learn? Like, you just learned all this stuff by having this affair, last night. I would not. But he was just like, yeah, let's do this.
Yeah. He's like, oh, your client called in the middle of the night and wants you to run over for an emergency, and you think it might be dangerous? Yeah, go ahead. I'll stay here and wait. It's no problem. But the whole thing, everything that happened, that guy was like, oh, okay. Oh, the cops are here for the second time in 2 days? That's cool. Come on in, guys. Everything's fine. My wife was just cutting me during sex. It's cool. Don't worry about it. Mm-hmm. Oh, there's a dead body? There's a house that burned down?
I was just opening a bottle of vanilla. Just cut myself.
Yeah, he was such a throwaway character. Who gives a shit what his motivations are?
The cops.
Yeah, that was.
Those cops were something.
Oh man,
it's an interesting movie, man. I'm telling you, we don't get these anymore.
This though, you have to like be like a person who in our chat. Like you have to be one of us for this movie. Like, can you imagine watching this with normies?
No.
I can't imagine watching this with Chad. I was just the whole time I was like, Chad hates this so much.
But here's the deal. I'm going to pull a flipperoo on Chad. I'm going to hit him with something heavy, like a log. So I want to knock some of his memory out. Then I'm going to remaster this movie to make it look like it was shot on film that Michael Toten has been talking about this whole time. And then put copyright 1982 and stick it on Tubi. He might be like, you see this movie, Suitable Flesh? It's actually pretty good.
You're not wrong.
And Michael brings up a good point. I do miss like that using film, especially now. I got this big TV and everything looks flat and weird. And
I actually agree with them. You're doing all this throwback stuff. It would have looked better if this maybe had more of an aged look to it.
But if you're doing like that fresh '90s cheapo look, then
totally,
I think that's what they were going
accomplished.
For. It's 100% what he was going for. Just I also see what they're saying that. Yeah, the Tubi freaks might like it more.
I agree. I'd love it even more. I wouldn't have thought about turning it off like I did with this. So, Chad. I was on the fence. I didn't know. I said Chad might like this, might like the throwback Lovecraft aspect, but I don't know. So Jack, I knew he's probably been unconscious for 3 days, but so I knew he would like.
He had to rehydrate after the movie was over.
Jason. Vitamin E. I knew Jason would dig it, so it was good.
Yeah, I liked it. Like I said, I'm not trying to blow it up as the greatest movie of the year, but I had fun with it.
I'm the same
exact as Jason on this.
The more distance I have, the more I like it when I think about it. It's not going to be number one. That I'll tell you.
It makes me happy that Barbara Crampton is making horror movies too. I will watch anything she does because she's a queen. Queen of horror.
It doesn't quite go as nuts as From Beyond or Reanimator.
No.
And
it needed more, for sure.
Yeah. I'll take what it gave me. I'll take it. All right. So next week, I saw there was a movie in the spreadsheet. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have a spreadsheet. What was it?
It had question marks by it, though. It's I think it's like Where the Devil Roams. It's the Addams Family movie.
Oh.
We could do that, or we could do Satanic Hispanics.
Wait, it's an actual movie with the Addams Family?
Yeah, their new one is out.
No, the family that.
Oh,
Our
I'm
friends.
The
thinking
people that you've
Morticia.
the people that you've
Gomez.
met and talked with, and
Oh, okay. Phew.
By the way, the mother of the family, I can't think of her name. I'm sorry, I'm the worst. Was in Fall of the House of Usher. She had a small scene in
Really?
that. Yeah, as soon as I saw her, I was like, oh,
Oh, that's
it's
awesome.
the matriarch of the Addams family.
good for her, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool.
You know what? I say we do that movie. Let's support them.
Cool.
Cool. So what's
Works
it
for
called
me.
again?
I think Where the Devil Roams or something like that.
Sure. All right. So there you go. Next week, start your engines.
There's only like 4 weeks left in the year.
Yeah, I got some catching up to do.
Christ.
I don't know how or when, but I got catching up to do.
I think I might have 13. I know I got at least 10.
I'm hoping for 10.
I
after next
finally saw some movies that bumped the stuff I had down off of my list so that I could. There were so many movies I had that was like, this really should not be on a top list. And so I finally have seen enough to bump some of that off.
week. Mithrigan isn't moving on my list. That's the kind of year we've got.
The three has been bumped on.
I know I got one on my list that nobody else will have on theirs. Got at least one.
Chad,
of
I
those.
have a feeling most of your list is going to be quite different from yours.
Don't forget, it has to be this year.
Yeah, it can't be a
Yeah,
Dick
yeah,
Tubi in 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah. all
my
right.
my list comes with the bottle of Prozac.
Oh, boy. All right. There you go, everybody. Thank you for stopping by, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.